Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Yeshi Chanzom. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Tuesday, the 31st of March. 24 tests positive for coronavirus in Indian capital. Tally climbs to over 1,200. Talks between leaders will solve political rifts in Afghanistan, says official. And poor in Bangladesh hit hard by coronavirus lockdown. And now for all the details. India's Health Ministry confirmed that total cases of coronavirus in the country stands at 1,251 as of Tuesday, including 1,117 positive cases. At least 24 people who took part in a religious gathering in Nizamuddin area of Indian capital New Delhi tested positive for the coronavirus. The total number of COVID-19 cases in India on Tuesday reached 1,251, including 1,117 active cases, while 101 people have been cured or discharged. As many as 32 people have died because of COVID-19, while one has migrated, according to India's Health Ministry. At least 24 people who took part in a religious gathering in Nizamuddin area of Indian capital New Delhi tested positive for coronavirus. As many as 1,500 Muslims from India and other countries had attended a congregation of Islamic preachers, out of which several developed symptoms of coronavirus. People who showed symptoms were shifted to quarantine facilities and hospitals in buses.
पॉजिटिव केस इसमें टोटल 24 लोगों के पॉजिटिव केस मिल चुके हैं, जो कि मरकज यहाँ पर ठहरे हुए थे, तो अब तक 24 हैं.
Meanwhile, police cordoned off Nizamuddin area and put drones on place to check movement of people. The government has appealed to all those who had attended the prayers in Delhi to inform the authorities. India is on a 21-day lockdown until April 15 to contain the spread of the virus. Moving on, even as most countries in the world are battling with coronavirus, an incident of discrimination against minorities has been reported from Pakistan, Sindh, under lockdown. Hindus and Christians have blamed that they were denied food supplies on the basis of their religion.
Even as there is an alarming concern over coronavirus outbreak, thousands of people belonging to minority Hindu and Christian communities were allegedly refused food supplies and daily essentials in Pakistan's Karachi on the basis of religion this past weekend. They were told that they were not eligible for having food supplies since it was only meant for Muslims, activists said. People from minority communities not only in Karachi but across Sindh have blamed they are being denied a share in government food and rations amid the crisis if they happen to be Hindus or Christians. Pakistan has long been accused for discriminating against its religious minorities, which is manifested in various forms.
जैसा कि कारोबार बंद है, हमें भी राशन वगैरह फराहम किया जाए. क्या हम ईसाई हैं, ईसाई कौम के शायद इसलिए हम पर कोई हुकूमत हम पर कोई तवज्जो नहीं दे रही.
The incident comes as the total number of positive cases of COVID-19 in the country has risen to over 1,700.
In news from Afghanistan, Afghan government has assured people that efforts to end political crisis between President Ashraf Ghani and his rival Abdullah are underway. Senior advisor to President Ghani, Wahid Omar, has asserted that there are talks and that there are rifts, but can't call it a crisis.
Afghan presidential palace has said efforts to end political crisis between President Ashraf Ghani and his rival Abdullah are underway and will continue. Senior advisor to Afghan President Ashraf Ghani, Wahid Omar, on Monday said there are talks and that there are rifts, but can't call it a crisis. Omar asserted, obviously efforts exist on both sides to resolve the matter. Meanwhile, Abdullah's close aides have also said that efforts of politicians to end the political rifts are underway and urged the formation of a comprehensive and inclusive government. Amid the tensions between Ghani and Abdullah, the United States has cut aid to Afghanistan by $1 billion and threatened to cut even more unless the country's feuding political leaders can resolve their differences and form a government that can implement a peace deal with the Taliban. Although President Ghani insisted in his oath-taking ceremony that he would introduce a new cabinet in 2 weeks and try to improve people's lives, the cabinet has not yet been announced.
More news from Afghanistan. Authorities in Western Herat province have started releasing prisoners in an attempt to prevent the spread of the deadly coronavirus. According to officials, the move is based on a special decree issued by the Afghan presidential palace about the pandemic.
Afghanistan has started releasing prisoners from Western Herat prison in an attempt to prevent the spread of the deadly coronavirus. According to officials, the move is based on a special decree issued by the Afghan presidential palace about the coronavirus. The authorities of Herat prison released around 400 to 500 of the prisoners as of Monday. Last week, in its decree over the spread of coronavirus, the Afghan presidential palace ordered to release around 10,000 prisoners over the age of 55.
خاطر شیوع ویروس کرونا ما را از بند رها ساختن و خدا کنه که این پروسه همچنان ادامه پیدا کنه البته نه پروسه کرونا پروسه رهایی.
Those released will not include members of Islamist militant groups, the Taliban or Islamic State, and the process will be completed within 10 days.
ما احساس خیلی خوشی داریم و خیلی هم احساس خوبی میکنیم از اینکه این اقدام دولت به خاطر از این جلوگیری از این مریضی اقدام کنه.
Afghanistan has reported over 140 cases of coronavirus and 4 deaths. There are fears Afghanistan's vulnerable health system, devastated by years of war, will be overwhelmed by the outbreak.
Health authorities in Sri Lanka on Monday confirmed the country's second COVID-19 death of its 122 confirmed cases. The island nation has been on a curfew for over a week as authorities try to contain the spread of the deadly virus. Sri Lankan Health Ministry on Monday confirmed that 64-year-old man who was being treated for the COVID-19 infection has died in a hospital, bringing the total number of deaths in the country to 2. The disease previously had a heart attack and a long-term respiratory illness, the Health Ministry said. Sri Lanka has so far confirmed 122 COVID-19 patients, out of which 14 have recovered and been discharged from hospital in recent days, while 104 others are under observation in the designated hospitals across the country. The country is under an island-wide curfew imposed on March 20 in a bid to prevent the further spread of pandemic. Meanwhile, as businesses are facing hardships owing to the impact of COVID-19, Sri Lanka's central bank has announced a series of wide-ranging financial concessions. These concessions are applicable to the entire gamut of organizations, ranging from large corporate to self-employed individuals and particularly to export-related enterprises. In news from Maldives, several businesses across the globe have come to a standstill due to the coronavirus pandemic. In such time of distress, determined to keep Parliament functional during the COVID-19 outbreak, Maldivian legislators on Monday convened online for a crucial session to discuss strategies to combat the pandemic.
Maldivian legislators on Monday convened online for a crucial session to discuss strategies to combat the coronavirus pandemic in a bid to keep Parliament functional during the COVID-19 outbreak. Parliament Speaker and former President Mohammad Nasheed in a tweet said, "Even though we are confined to our homes, our democracy is not under house arrest. The work of the People's Majlis continues unimpeded online." As many as 71 of the 87-member House logged in on Monday using a web conferencing facility, appreciating the need for physical distancing. Monday's discussion centered on the Indian Ocean island nation's response to COVID-19. The Maldives currently has 2 COVID-19 positive patients who returned from the UK undergoing treatment. According to the government, 13 cases detected earlier this month have been cured. However, 870 Maldivians and foreigners working in the island who returned after foreign travels have been quarantined for observation.
Bangladesh confirmed 51 coronavirus cases and 5 deaths as of Tuesday. As the nationwide lockdown is underway in the country to contain the spread, the poor have been specially hit hard. The normally bustling streets of Bangladeshi capital Dhaka can be seen largely empty these days amid an ongoing nationwide lockdown to contain the spread of coronavirus. And this change in pace has hit especially the poor very hard. Boatmen who typically ferry passengers across the Buriganga River are struggling to make ends meet with less movement in the city. They used to earn about $8 to $9 a day, enough to support their families. But now they only bring home a fraction of that.
And local salary নামছি এখন 100 150 200 টাকা হয় রাত টাইমে পয়সা এই টাকা তো আমাকে ডাইল ভাতের পয়সা হয় না এখন যে আমরা কি করব আমি চিন্তা করতেছি এখন আল্লাহ পাক করোনা ভাইরাস দিছে কিছু করার নাই এখন যদি এরা একমাত্র আল্লাহর রহমতে সরকার যদি একটু দেয় আমার গরিব বুড়ার উপরে এই যদি একটু দয়া করি আর দয়া আল্লাহ আমাকে বাঁচায় আর কি
Hundreds of families depend on boats for their livelihoods, and while some have returned to their villages amid fear of the coronavirus, that's not an option for all.
করোনাভাইরাসের উপলক্ষে আমরা বলতে চাই যে আমাদের আর্থিক অবস্থা আগে মোটামুটি ভালোই ছিল এখন আমার আব্বা অনেক অসহায় পড়ে গেছে কাজ কাম কম এই কারণে আমরা খুব দারিদ্রতার মধ্যে আছি
Meanwhile, in another part of the city, people could be seen lining up and jostling for food being handed out. As of Tuesday, Bangladesh confirmed 51 coronavirus cases and 5 deaths. As the coronavirus outbreak spreads to more countries, so the solidarity among people is spreading everywhere. Nepal and Bangladesh, where concerns over a possible spike in COVID-19 cases are rising, received medical supplies from China and some non-profitable organizations.
Nepal, which is reportedly in dire need for medical supplies as COVID-19 cases continues to escalate in the country, has received emergency prevention materials from China. These materials include different kinds of masks, thermometers, chloroquine phosphate tablets, protective clothing and portable ventilators. Nepal is currently under a week-long lockdown to prevent the spread of the deadly infection. The country has so far confirmed 5 COVID-19 cases, but there is a growing concern over a possible spike in the cases due to the relatively low number of tests. Meanwhile, Nepal also received medical supplies from Alibaba Foundation and Jackma Foundation, which includes some N95 masks and test kits. Neighbouring Bangladesh also received medical supplies from the same foundations to combat COVID-19. The donated medical supplies includes 30,000 COVID-19 testing regions and 300,000 masks.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude the top stories once again. 24 test positive for coronavirus in Indian capital Delhi climbs to over 1,200. Talks between leaders will solve political rifts in Afghanistan, says official. Poor in Bangladesh hit hard by coronavirus lockdown. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/AsAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @AsAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.